Today is your push workout. So you're going to be targeting muscles that push away from the midline of your body, such as your chest, your quads, your triceps, your shoulders, and the majority of these muscle groups you'll be able to see in the mirror. So I do suggest that you have a mirror available to you so you can see your form and see the direction of the muscle fibers pushing out all this work. The more that you're able to see your form and these muscle groups work, the better you'll be able to enhance that mind-muscle connection to evolve your physique. So as we move on to our push workout, we're beginning with shoulders. Shoulders is a pushing muscle group. However, we're going to start off with an isolating exercise, which is going to be our side lateral raises, which of course targets the lateral head of your shoulders. Now, in order to do so, I want you to keep the form strict as you were before. However, I want you to really force those reps out to reach absolute failure with each one of the 4 sets that you'll be performing today. So, you're gonna pick up the weight, palms facing towards your body, and then up. Elbows, shoulders, wrists, all one line. Breathe out on the way up, breathe in on the way back down. And as you start to reach failure, especially if it's before the required 15 repetitions, you can use just a little bit of momentum just to get the weight up, but control that negative. When performing the side lateral dumbbell raises, you're going to be targeting the lateral head of your delt muscles. To keep the constant tension applied upon the lateral head of the delt muscles, I want you to make sure that the dumbbells do not touch your side. When performing the side lateral dumbbell raises, as you raise out to the sides, I don't want you to swing from the lower body at all. There shouldn't be any body momentum. Just as you come down to your sides, about 3 or 4 inches before touching, I want you to go back up so you keep the constant tension added to your delt muscles. When your wrist and elbow is parallel to your delts, that's when you pause just for a split second. I want you to come down under control, and about 3 or 4 inches before the dumbbell touches your thigh, I want you to go back up to keep the constant tension applied to your delts. Breathing is very, very important during your workouts. Very often you see people turn red or purple. This is not good. Keep your core tight, but squeeze and breathe at the same time to ensure that you perform at your absolute best. When you're performing the concentric part of the movement or the positive part, or when you're actually pushing, that's when you breathe out. Remember, if you have to scream to push that exercise because it's so hard, you have to exhale. So your delts should be absolutely pumped and burning now. Now we're going to obliterate them a little bit more, so you're going to have trouble bringing your drink up towards your mouth. Speaking of which, make sure that you stay hydrated throughout your workout. So we're going to be hitting the front delts now with our front raises using an alternate fashion. So one arm up. Once it's come down and touched your thigh, then you go up with the other side without any upper body swinging or momentum. So pick up your dumbbells with a straight back, bent legs, body aligned, shoulder width stance apart. You're gonna come up, pause, and then slowly work the negative with a 3-second count. Up, slowly work the negative with a 3-second count. Breathe out, breathe in. Breathe in. Now you're going to target one head of your delts at a time, specifically the anterior head of your delts when you're performing this movement in an alternating fashion. You're going to lift up with one arm in front of your head just as your dumbbell gets above eye line, then you return down to that starting position. I want you to pause at the top for a second and then come back down. When you come back down with that arm, it now disengages and relaxes while you work the alternating arm. you're going to target the anterior head of your delts throughout this movement. Because this is an alternating dumbbell raise, you will disengage one muscle group while you engage the opposing front delt. Remember, it's very important for you to breathe during your workouts. You need to oxygenate your brain so you stay focused and you get plenty of oxygen-rich blood throughout your muscles so you can perform at your best. Now remember, to focus on your performance, you have to dictate it by your recovery. So make sure that you're getting your sleep, that you're hydrating, that you're managing stress so you can perform at your best. Now we're moving on to the resistance bands upright rows. You've got 12 to 15 repetitions here to perform, okay? You need to go to absolute failure on each one of these 4 sets, and I want you to control the negative with a 3-second count. Remember, you have to lead with your elbows to get the form correct throughout this movement. So just a little bit narrower than shoulder width distance apart. I'm gonna come up just until that resistance band comes underneath the chin. If it's not enough resistance to reach absolute failure, you can stand a little bit wider on that resistance band or grab a heavier band. Breathe out on the way up, squeeze and reach failure within the required amount of repetitions. Control the negative and up. When you're holding onto the resistance band at the bottom of this movement, you should be stepped about shoulder width apart over the resistance band with your feet. There should be tension applied to the resistance band in this beginning phase. As you're coming up, you're going to be targeting your rear head of your delts, the lateral head of your delts, the anterior head of your delts, and your trapezius muscles. When you come up to the top portion of this position, I want you to pause for a second. But then when you're going back down to your starting position, I don't want you to pause with your arms out straight. There will be tension in the bands, and this is what's going to cause tension on your muscles. Okay, we've got some great momentum going on now. Remember why you started this. Who are you trying to prove wrong? Is it yourself? Is it other people that doubt you? You can put their doubts to the curb now as you continue to push yourself towards that end goal and walk out a success. Now we're moving on to pecs, and we're going to obliterate them with high repetitions with body weight, and that's going to be with a wide grip push-up. When you're performing this exercise, as I reminded you last week, I don't want you to lock out and disengage the pecs. I need you to engage them. But what I'd like you to do is to make it harder by slowing that negative even more and trying to push out more repetitions. When you cannot push out any more repetitions in a full push-up position, you can drop to your knees and continue to do so to really reach that failure point. You have 4 sets here to perform. Keeping your body aligned, chest out, shoulders retracted. I want you to go to absolute failure. If you find failure before your required amount of repetitions, you can drop to your knees and continue to do so. You're going to be targeting your pec muscles as your primary mover throughout this exercise. And to keep constant tension applied upon your pecs, I want you to squeeze at the top with your arms just slightly bent, don't lock out, with your shoulders retracted. And then as you come down just about an inch before you touch the floor, I want you to go back up to have the tension applied upon your pecs throughout the entirety of this exercise. As you push up, I want you to have alignment within your back, your glutes, and your hamstrings, so they should be parallel to the floor. Now, as we're getting into the momentum of this workout, we need to still focus on our performance. Are you doing everything that you can to recover in order to dictate that you perform at your peak? Now we're moving on to the decline push-up. I'm a little bit out of breath here because this is tough work. You should be keeping it intense and it should be uncomfortable. You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable if you want your body to progress. So please do hydrate yourself between your sets, which is exactly what I'm gonna do right now. So keep sipping in between your sets and psych yourself up for the next set, which is going to be the decline push-up for our following 4 sets, okay? So last week, we reached failure between 12 and 15 repetitions. I want you to challenge yourself even more so this week by really slowing down that negative to a 3-second negative and pause at the bottom before pushing yourself back up. Try to force the stress and load onto those upper pecs. Now, if you're doing a conventional push-up, your hands will be here, either side of your chest. Now, when you're doing a decline push-up, your hands are gonna be here, either side of your head, okay? And that will allow you to target your upper pecs. So, we'll put our feet on the chair here, support ourselves, lower body, upper body aligned, go down nice and slowly. We're gonna pause and then back up. Slowly down, 3-second negative, squeeze and pause, back up. Breathe in on the way down, and breathe out on the way up. When you're performing the decline push-up, your upper body is going to be towards the floor into a push-up position. Your back, your glutes, and your hamstrings should all be one line where you're almost parallel to the floor except for your legs being elevated. You're gonna be targeting your upper pecs throughout the entirety of this movement, but you're also gonna target your mid and lower fibers as well. To keep the constant tension throughout the entirety of this exercise, I want you to lock out at the top and squeeze your pecs with your shoulders retracted back. And you're gonna go slowly down towards the bottom, and just as you're about an inch from the floor, I want you to go back up. Completing those last sets as hard as you possibly could is where all the change happens. If you do what you've always done, you're gonna get what you've always got. So make sure that you push yourself harder. Now we're moving on to legs with a walk-in dumbbell lunge. Same as what you did last week. However, I want you to challenge and stress yourself a little bit more with either choosing a heavier weight or performing more repetitions. So if you only did about 18 to 20 last week, try doing like 24 to 26 this week. Keep pushing yourself and challenge yourself. You will be out of breath because you will be working the majority of your body coming from the lower body, which does require a lot of oxygen and a lot of blood. So you may feel a little bit lightheaded, so take your time between those sets. So you're gonna pick up your dumbbells, get yourself into position, take a large enough step for both your front leg and rear leg to reach a right angle, and continue. Remember to count 2 seconds on the way down. 1, 2, and then back up. 1, 2, and then back up, driving through your heels. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out with your upper body straight. Don't lean forward as you lunge back up. When beginning the dumbbell walking lunges, your chest should be high, your back should be straight, and shoulders slightly back. When you step forward, I don't want you to lean forward, and when you step up, I don't want you to lean forward. Your back should be straight throughout the entirety of this exercise. Your working muscle, the one that you're bending, will target your glutes and your hamstrings as your primary movers. And you're also going to work your quads throughout the entirety of this exercise as well. When performing this exercise, I don't want you to allow your knee to drop to the floor, and I don't want you to lock your knees out straight at the top either. This will allow you to have constant tension applied to these muscle groups. Remember why you begun this program. What was your commitment? Make sure you journal it every single day and reaffirm those goals, because it's these goals every single day that will take you to that end picture and that physique that you visualize. You can do this, guys. Don't listen to other naysayers. Don't listen to other people that are pulling you down. This is your time to change and transform forever. Now we're going to move on to the dumbbell squats, which will target your quads, the front of your leg, the back of your leg being your hamstrings, and your glutes. So when we're working almost half of the body being our legs, that requires a lot of calories. So we can burn a lot of calories just having more muscle density in our legs. However, you're only going to get that density if you push yourself to absolute failure and harder than what you did last week. So even though we're doing the same exercise as last week, I want you to push yourself a little bit further with heavier weight and more repetitions. But I still want you to control the movement. So pick up your dumbbells with a straight back, shoulder width distance apart, toes slightly pointing out, knee following the direction of your toe, and down so your hamstrings are parallel to the floor, and back up without locking out. So you can pause at the bottom, not at the top. Breathe in and breathe out. Often people ask me how much weight that they should be utilizing when they're performing an exercise. Well, simple. If I give you a rep range of say 15 to 20, but you end up performing 25 to 30, then the weight is too light for you. So you'd need to go heavier. And consequently, if you only were able to perform, say, 5 or 10 repetitions, then the weight is too heavy and you should go a little bit lighter on your next set. Now, I always say you need to reach absolute failure in order to succeed in the gym. So when I say failure, when you're performing repetitions, you should reach absolute failure, meaning that you could not perform one more repetition even if your life depended on it. That is failure, and it's the only place in the world that we have to reach failure in order to succeed outside of the weights area. Okay, you committed to this, so you better follow through. Don't get taken off your goal. Don't be meandering or navigating a way out of it. You started with this commitment. Are you somebody that follows through or comes up with an excuse? The choice is yours. Now we're moving on to the box steps to target our quads, hamstrings, and our glutes. The primary movers are going to be your hamstrings and glutes, with the secondary mover or assistance with this exercise coming from your quads. But I want you to push through your heels when you're performing this exercise. Of course you did it last week, so challenge yourself this week with heavier dumbbells and a slower negative throughout this movement, okay? So, grab hold of your dumbbells here. Got a 3-second negative. We have 4 sets of around 12 to 15 repetitions to reach failure. Drive through your heels, stand up, slowly control that negative, and then same on the other side. Slowly down, drive through your heels on the way up with a straight upper body. The muscle groups that you are going to target primarily are going to be your glutes and your hamstrings, and the secondary movers are going to be your quads and your calves. I don't want you to lean forward at your upper body or from the waist when performing this movement, particularly when you're standing on the bench or the box in front of you. When performing this movement, I want you to keep constant tension applied upon the working muscle by locking out at the top, squeezing for a second, and then coming down slowly. Of course, that muscle is going to relax as you perform the same movement with the alternated leg. So now we are moving from our legs to our triceps, starting off with dumbbell kickbacks. The same as what you did last week. You're going to perform that tricep back, but you're going to pause, contract for a couple of seconds, 1 to 2 seconds, squeeze it there as hard as you can, but really control that negative. This is a movement that I often see people do completely wrong in the gym, and they'll never get the development out of their triceps because going through the motions is not going to cut it. Contracting and squeezing will, okay? So I want you to bend over, put your supporting resting arm across your thigh, keep your back straight and parallel to the floor, hinge your elbow up, extend back, and slowly return to the starting position with your forearm vertical and back up. And breathe out on the way up, breathe in on the way back down. Breathe out, breathe in. Squeeze, control, hold, and back down. Once you've completed the reps on one side, of course, you move on to the other. When performing the dumbbell tricep kickback, I need you to bend over at the upper body until your upper body is parallel with the floor. You're going to be slightly bent with your legs. So we are going to be targeting all heads of the triceps with this movement. When targeting the tricep in this bent over position, I want you to make sure that your upper arm is parallel to the floor. So your elbow is up high. You're gonna squeeze back and then slowly come back down to that starting position. But when you feel the tricep disengaged, that is time for you to go back up so you keep constant tension applied to the tricep muscle. And then of course, once you've completed one side, you now allow that worked muscle group to relax as you target the opposing tricep. Okay guys, let's focus on your commitment, not just by showing up to the gym, but committing yourself while you're there without distraction to finish strong. Now we're going to move on to another exercise for triceps using dumbbells again. And this is going to be called the DB, or dumbbell skull crusher. When we perform the tricep kickback, that targets what's called the outer head of the tricep. Now we're going to target a little bit more of the inner head or middle head of the tricep by performing a lying dumbbell skull crusher. So you're going to be lying down, obviously, so get yourself in position, seated, put the dumbbells on your thigh, and then lie back slowly until there's dumbbells at either side of your head, elbows tucked in, hinged, and then back up. Slowly come down till they almost touch the floor and back up. Control that negative, push yourself more than last week with either more weight or more repetitions or both. Your knees should be slightly bent with the bottoms of your feet firmly planted on the floor. You are going to target all heads of the tricep with this movement. Be a success within yourself by pushing yourself every single day, marking off every single meal and every single workout to absolute failure in order to achieve your goals. You're going to keep your elbows in tight, and just as the dumbbells are about to touch the floor, you are going to go back up to that starting position and get a full contraction with your arms out locked. But when your arms are locked, I don't want the dumbbells above your chest. They need to be above your head so we can keep constant tension applied to the triceps throughout the entirety of this exercise. Now, our third exercise is the overhead banded extension. Same as what you did last week, but I want you to increase the tension of this resistance band by standing a little bit wider on it, or with both feet if you stood with one foot on there last week. So, I want you to stand on the band. I want you to control a 2-second negative when you're performing this exercise, and I need you to reach absolute failure between 15 and 20 repetitions for all 3 of these sets. Remember, keep those elbows in tight, pointing forward, palms facing up, extend until your hands disappear behind your head, and then back up. Squeeze, back up, keep your upper body aligned, keep your core tight, breathe in on the way down, breathe out on the way up. When performing this movement, I want you to keep constant tension applied to your triceps by squeezing at the top of the movement and locking out there for a second. Then you're going to slowly come back until your hands disappear behind your head for a full stretch, and then back up to squeeze at the top for 1 second. The muscle groups that you're going to be working are your triceps, specifically the long head of your triceps. Make sure that you're breathing through every single one of your repetitions. Remember, when you're pushing out, that's when I want you to breathe out. So just think that the exercise is so hard that you have to scream. In order to scream, you have to exhale. Come on, don't give up now. I know it's tough. It's not meant to be easy. It's supposed to be difficult. If it was easy, everybody would have the physique that they've always wanted. But the people who have the body they've always wanted have not given up, and neither are you. You've done a great job thus far. However, you're not finished yet. And I always say, make sure you finish your workouts as strong, if not stronger, than when you begun. So I need your all-out effort on this last exercise. Quite often you see people with skinny calves. They'll blame genetics. Not so. A lot of the time they just can't deal with the uncomfortability of training your calves. So quite often I'll say, you know what? It feels like someone's got a blowtorch to them. That's when you know you're working them correctly. So it is painful. You will get a lot of lactic acid buildup, but I need you to push through that pain barrier in order to force growth into your calves. So I want you to grab heavier dumbbells than you did last week to find that failure point. If you're having trouble walking for the next few days, perfect, you've done this correctly. So, pick up the dumbbells with a straight back, feet with your heels about fist inches apart. You're gonna come up onto your toes and slowly down. Up, pause, contract, squeeze, and control the negative over a 2-second count. Breathe out on the way up, breathe in on the way back down. Okay, we are getting towards the end here now. We're getting to the last final stretch. You're gonna be a little bit lethargic, you're gonna be tired, you may have a little bit of doubt, but this is where your recovery techniques really come into play so you can perform and get over to that last stretch at your absolute best. This is your commitment to yourself, nobody else, that you are finally gonna finish something that you've begun. So let's hit it. As I've said before, we're getting to the last stretch. So what are you gonna do about it? Are you gonna back off, or are you gonna push those last sets stronger than you did in the beginning? And you've got to decide, are you gonna continue to push yourself and come up with commitments, or are you gonna come up with excuses? Only winners come up with commitments, and only winners finish that last set stronger than their first. Okay, you've got this. Remember, you have to control your environment. Don't allow yourself to get controlled by it. There are weekends that you're not going to feel good about doing this. There are going to be mornings that are going to be dark and you'll want to sleep in. You'll look at your meal and you'll want to have the cheat meal that your friend is having next to you. This is where you step up and take control instead of being controlled by your environment. This is where you face your fears. This is where you turn your weaknesses into weapons. So let's do this. That is it for today. You did really well. You put everything into this workout, every set, every rep, I hope. If you haven't, then you know that you have to psych yourself up to do even more tomorrow, which you should anyway. Tomorrow is going to be a pull workout. So make sure that you have all your meals prepped and ready for tomorrow, and I will see you for our pull workout.